Welcome back to AB in Focus. I'm Tala Michel, Issa, Chief Reporter at Arabian Business. We're here today at the Gulf region's largest tech show, which is GITEX. And here with me today is Will Tamblyn, who is the co-CEO of Voxon, which is a hologram company. We'll get into those details shortly. I saw his stand at the E&, booth, and I was very, very intrigued. Really, really cool technology you have there. So if you could just walk us through a little bit about what you do at Voxon, and then we'll jump into the rest later.
Absolutely. So Voxon started because we're inspired by science fiction. We saw Star Wars and all of those science fiction movies that every time those creative people started to try to imagine what the future of human interaction with devices could be, every single time they come up with this 3D volumetric hologram technology. And so inspired by that, way back in 2007, 2009, my friend and now co-founder Gavin Smith and I started tinkering away in the shed trying to come up with a way to recreate that experience. And so after many years of trying and failing and trying and failing, and finally we've actually have something that really does have that feel, that volumetric hologram type experience that we're really after. So now we're in the stage of really getting our technology out there and showing it to people in person, because it makes such a difference to see the technology in person rather than just look at it on a two-dimensional screen. And so it's a really exciting time for us. This is the first major conference we've been at to show up our tech in person and really get people's direct feedback on the display.
Oh, that's really interesting that you were thinking about this back in 2007 and 2008.
Yeah.
I'm sure, obviously, the space has changed a lot. We're seeing a lot of demand for holograms at events, showpieces. We're seeing demand in real estate. Where is most of the demand coming from? I guess, obviously, you know a lot more about this.
Yeah, so we've got about a dozen different markets that we're working with, and they range from the fun things like gaming and entertainment. So we've got a lot of interest from the out-of-home entertainment sector, and entertainment in terms of experiential things, a lot of trade shows and museums, and people that just want to have something that is right out there from the future and be able to show something that is creating that sort of experience that they only imagined could be possible.
Definitely. So, holography or holograms have been touted as the next big thing in tech for a very long time.
Yeah.
We saw this with the likes of, I don't know, the Meta AR VR glasses, and then obviously Apple had their own product as well. But I think the market wasn't ready for them, with these products once they were released, and that wasn't even that long ago. So I'd be curious to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the overall experience of in those particular cases, putting on that headset and setting everything up and actually having it and coming in. And we refer to that as sort of for me, it's referred to as a barrier to experience. You've got to actually walk up and actually put something on your face and put that barrier between you and reality. Whereas with our technology, it's actually physically there. It physically occupies 3 physical dimensions, and there's no need for face gear, headgear, goggles, glasses, or anything like that. You just walk up to it and can experience it like a digital campfire. And so for us, one of the key things about that market adoption is that when it comes down to the user experience, about the people actually enjoying and experiencing and getting all the value from our technology, it's that first step of actually just walking up and having it there right in front of them, rather than having to sit down and set everything up. You don't want to have to, oh, I want to check something on my phone. All right, just let me get my goggles out and put the goggles on and have that experience. It's a cumbersome, difficult, awkward process. It's an amazing experience in VR and AR once you get in there, but you never spend more than 20, 30 minutes in there at absolute most to be able to, because it becomes uncomfortable and cumbersome to actually wear that thing on your face. Whereas with our technology, as I said, you just walk up and there it is.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people associate this type of technology, the stuff that you guys do, with entertainment. We've seen concerts like the famous Tupac concert, right? A couple of years ago. Do you think that narrative is shifting?
I mean, for us, that's the early adopters are really interested in that entertainment because it's fun. For us, there's a low barrier to entry into those markets. We can just make the stuff. If it's fun, which it is, it'll work. We're also getting a lot of interest from industries such as medical imaging. So we can take a a CT scan or an MRI scan, get the three-dimensional data from that, put it on our display, and then actually have that three-dimensional thing. And where we see the value in that and where we've experienced the value in that from our customers and people we've been talking with is when you get an expert from one area and an expert from another area, having a conversation, and also even with a patient. So you've got the radiologist and the surgeon who has to actually perform the surgery. The radiologist can really understand what the image is showing them, and the surgeon can understand in the terms of what the physical image is showing them. And then combined together, they can actually explain that to the the patient,
Yeah.
and say, this is what's actually going to happen, these are the risks, and that whole concept of informed consent can really take place with a much better understanding from both the surgeon performing the operation or the procedure and the patient who's the ultimate sort of subject of the procedure. So whereas the entertainment side of things, it's very fast for us to execute in that market. With the medical side of things and the more serious side of things, there's a lot more infrastructure and a lot more effort that needs to go into the sort of the red tape, the bureaucracy of actually getting something into those sectors. And there's a great potential for that to happen. It's just that there's more work that needs to go in before we start realizing gains from that sector.
No, of course, I can really see the benefits of that in the medical industry. But another vertical, I guess, probably you guys get a lot of demand from, I think, is real estate, right? From developers and stuff like that. Have you, has there been any interest from the region?
Yeah, well, I've had at least 4 people up today coming and say, hey, I've got these rental properties on these islands. I do these luxury real estate things. I'd like to be able to show people the tech. So absolutely, yes. And, then it's really is just a matter of, creating those digital models, whether you scan them using sort of an AI model on your phone where you take a video and it automatically converts it, or using a more sophisticated process where you're sort of getting more detailed, more accurate presentations. And then it becomes more sort of a commercial development tool where you've got a building information management system where you say, hey, this is where all of the pipelines for the development of real estate projects going. This is where all the pipelines need to go. These are the easements and all of those things about how we're going to get the power in and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, interesting. And I feel like I have to ask you this, but how has AI changed things?
Well, it's been a massive revolution to us, all the way from just running a business in terms of, the large language models there, down to being able to text to 3D model. A lot of the models that you saw today, we just typed them into a text to 3D model generator, and all of a sudden out popped a Viking with a horn helmet, even though the Vikings never wore horn helmets. But it's that sort of fun. It enables that content creation. But more fundamentally, the way that we interact with technology is fundamentally changing. At the moment, most people that use a computer sit down in front of a two-dimensional screen on a keyboard and spend hour upon hour writing emails or whatever they do on the computer. But what we're seeing now and what I'm experiencing personally is that I'm spending less time on a keyboard and more time actually in conversation with an AI agent. And so the use and the application of AI technology changing the way that people are interacting with data, with technology, is changing away from that sort of two-dimensional workspace into this, well, let's actually manifest that digital world into physical reality. So whether that's an AI chatbot that you're having a conversation with, and then you say, well, show me the concept that we're working with, and can actually build that model in real time from an AI generated perspective. So it's a really exciting time. Things are changing, not just rapidly, but more rapidly than I think most people anticipate.
Okay, I guess this brings us to the end of our interview. But before I let you go, let's talk about GITEX.
Yeah.
So tell us about your presence here and why you decided to attend a tech show in the UAE to talk about Voxon.
Yeah, so we were contacted by END asking if we want to be part of their display based on what they had to tell us about their presence and their involvement with GITEX, and also our understanding of what GITEX is. It was an absolute no-brainer to come along here. And I mean, we're halfway through the first day and we've already had the most amazing and overwhelmingly positive experience. Everyone we've spoken to has been blown away. And some of the things that I've seen here, just in the journey from our stand over to here, I can't wait to explore the whole thing. So it's a really exciting time. For us, it's so exciting to be able to have the first public display of our latest generation of our VLED technology displayed in such an amazing event. So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Very interesting to see that, this is definitely a space to watch. And it's cool to see that hologram tech is actually seeping into our lives properly now. We've been talking about it for years. So thank you so much, Will, for joining us today.